Hi everyone and welcome to Season 1, Episode 5 of Reputation Rebuild at Aberdeen with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So we're on a decent winning streak at the moment, 3 or 4 games in a row. But actually, to be honest, it's been a little bit dull. We had lots of 1-0 wins, barely got going and managed to scrape a win just through that 1 goal in each of the last 3 games. So we need to up ourselves a little bit and make ourselves a little bit more potent up front. That's been the problem all the way through the first half of the season, though. Today we finish off December in the first season with a game against our direct rivals for the 3rd place spot in the Scottish Premiership, Livingston. So let's get into today's episode and see how we get on. So here we go, straight away looking at these recent results. As I say, for the last 5 games, it's been a goal in the last 3 games to win 1-0. Our 3 midfielders each getting 1 since the last time you and I were together for Ross County. But a 5-game winning streak, but always by that 1 goal margin, and we are not potent enough. The likes of Cambry is our number 1 striker. He's as good as we've got, and he's not particularly great. He's only got 5 in 20 starts for us, which isn't fantastic, and that's been the biggest problem. We're getting a decent amount of points, which is good. I'm really happy with that. We just need to find a few more goals. And today, we do get Livingston sitting directly behind us, 3 points behind now in 4th place. We've moved up to 3rd place since the last time you and I were together. Still a massive gap up to that front 2, but also a fairly good gap down to 5th place Motherwell for us as well. So it is looking decent for this 3rd, 4th position. We've just got to find a way to dislodge Livingston a little bit and get a bit of breathing space there. And today is the perfect opportunity to do that. So let's see whether we can. So because of the recent issues with scoring goals, I felt it necessary today to change up the style of play a little bit. We're keeping the shape. I think this shape definitely works the best for who we've got in terms of personnel, but still working on this kind of way to play. So we were in the vertical tiki-taka style, trying to build up the play, but I don't think it's making the best out of our striker, who's decent in the air, but not with his feet particularly. So we're going to go around the outside, build up play through the centre a little bit, but spread it out wide to these wide men supported by the fullbacks, and see if we can get some early crosses in. Because if we go back and have a look at Cambry, 14 heading, 15 determination, jumping reach of 14, strength of 15. That's where his strength lies. So we're going to see if we can use it to the best of our abilities. And so we're going to go into the wing play. And so I haven't, if we go and have a look at the instructions, there aren't too many to tell you about really. I have changed them a little bit. We are on the extremely wide. We are going to work down the flanks. We're not going to overlap the fullbacks particularly though. We are going to keep a certain amount of structure down those sides. Hit early crosses is the one that I really want though. Get that early ball in. The striker knows what he's after then. And hopefully he can get on the end of them. Standard passing length, higher tempo, which I think is necessary when playing down the wing. In terms of transition, we're not going to do anything in these 2 options here particularly. That can change, but just at the moment, we're going to distribute to the flanks. That's the only instruction here. And then out of possession, we've got a standard line of engagement, higher defensive line, less urgent on the pressing. I don't want us to waste our energies trying to get that ball in too high up the pitch. So we're just going to sit and wait and hold shape really more than anything, and just see how we get on. It's another opportunity to knock off some rough edges and see whether we can get any way of getting some more out of this front guy that we've got. Because the other thing to say is the replacement, which is mainly Hornby, is kind of the similar sort of thing. It's not as good, but strength of 14, jumping reach of 15, decent enough determination. Finishing isn't particularly strong, 13 on heading. So the replacement is a similar sort of striker. So it's about time that we try and make the most of that. And this is how we're going to try and do it. So against Livingston today, we've changed the structure of play. We haven't changed the formation. And for today's match, we've got Lewis in goal, Logan at right back, Hayes at left back, Hobben and Considine in central defence, Ferguson, McCrory and Vertinen in central midfield, Hedges on the right, McGinn on the left, and Cambry up top, and loads of people on the bench, of which we can use 5. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So even though we are away from home, I've gone with the if we play our game, we'll win, you're capable of that, just to put the onus on them to go out there and perform well against a real direct rival. As I say, if we can widen the gap between us and Livingston, that's really going to help us out for the second half of the season as we try and progress to that third place spot and take it away from them. So that's the intention. We'll have to see how we get on today. Livingston in the yellow, we're in our red kit. And let's see whether we can really compete and really push them and find a way to get a couple of really good opportunities for our striker to see if he can get on the score sheet in a slightly different way than normal. Livingston, though, first off, get a really good run down that right-hand side, but the narrow angle, once he got inside the 6-yard box, meant it was always going to be tricky to get the goal from there. But he gave it a good go and caused us a few problems. We are working it from wide right to wide left then. We've gone backwards to defence, out to McGinn on this left-hand side. Holds up the play for Hayes. There's the early cross. And, oh, it was Hedges on that far side, not Cambry, but Hedges running in off the wing. That had a really good opportunity and didn't quite make the most of it, but that's what we can do with early crosses. At least you get one from your central striker, and you also get the support from the wide area on the far side supporting the play. Maybe we need a runner from midfield that's specifically going to get there as well. Vertinen would probably be that guy. And then we've got enough in that penalty box to really make a big difference potentially. So it's gone a bit flat, unfortunately. After that one really good cross in, it went really flat. 5 shots at goal for Livingston, 1 on target, 4 and 2 for us. XG ratings are pretty similar for both sides. Passing completion, decent from both sides. That's good to see. We have had more possession. We haven't quite managed to make the most of it and really challenge the goalkeeper, though. That's the biggest issue that we've had so far in this particular match. So we're going to point the finger and say, keep going. You can still win this one. Straight out and then into the shouts to fire them up for the beginning of this second half. See if we can get them pushing forward with a little bit more intensity, maybe. And hopefully, what happened here? Hedges gets an injury. What's the injury? Potential foot injury. Well, we'll have to check that out after the game. McLennan will come straight in and replace him down that right-hand side. As much as I've been able to in our substitute bench, we have pretty much got most positions covered there, so it's not too bad. But obviously, our first 11 is always our strongest 11, really. And it's Livingston that have switched the play to this wide left-hand side, crossed it, but found its way all the way to the right-hand side. Eventually, we clear it, but only partially, not particularly well. And Livingston get the ball back. You can see it's still a very even game. Percentage of possession is relatively even. Shots at goal is fairly similar. We're going to pause the game at 73 minutes, go and make a raft of changes to see if we can get some fresh legs in and some fresh impetus into the game. 6.4 from McCrory in central midfield, not good enough. So Dabu comes in and he'll play that position for the rest of the game. Cambry, again, not really getting too many chances, but didn't make the most of any of them. So Hornby comes in for him. We're going to take McGinn out as well and put Ross in down that left-hand side. And we can make one more and probably a defensive... no, we're not going to make a defensive change. We're going to change in midfield because it's Vertinen that's not playing particularly well. Or do we take Ferguson out because of his conditioning? Nope, I think I'm going to stick with it and take Vertinen out and put Campbell in. And just go straight back into the game. And we're going to go to the shouts and demand more for the last section of the game and see if we can just get that final opportunity that's going to do something for us. Change from balance to attacking for the last few minutes just to see if we can put the pressure on. We've had not quite as many shots at goal, one more on target than they have. It looks like we're going to get a stalemate, which is not terrible considering they're going to be one of the harder teams for us to play. But in a new structure, I kind of would have hoped that we'd have got maybe one or two real positive attempts at goal. And whilst we did get a few on target, we didn't really see any of them in the highlights, did we? So a little bit disappointing. Really well played from the back line. They obviously did a fantastic job of marshalling the Livingston attackers, the offence for Livingston. You can see 7s across the board, goalkeeper and back 4, so that's decent. Supply line in midfield, not great. And then again on these wide areas, didn't quite get the quality of crossing that I was hoping for somebody to be on the end of it. Other than that one sweeping ball from out here that was originally from McGinn, I think, or was it from the fullback Hayes? It might have been, who swept it into this kind of position for Hedges to run on. And eventually he put it over the top of the crossbar, didn't he? So there's some positives in there, but not quite enough. But ultimately, I'll take a 0-0 draw at this point. We need to pick up the points against everybody else and keep putting the pressure on Livingston. I think we'll be okay for third spot, but would have been a really nice thing to have won today, wouldn't it? But there you go. That's the way it is. 0-0 draw. We keep marching on. So before we go into the schedule, one thing to say is we still sit in third. Obviously, nothing's changed there. Hedges is out for a couple of weeks. Disappointing on that. We have got some right-sided wing cover. Obviously not quite as good, but Hedges is going to be out for a couple of weeks. So could have been a lot worse. Could have been a bit better, but that's just the way it is. So into the schedule that we go. And what we've got coming up is we've got the January transfer window. I need to find a goal scorer if I possibly can, either on loan or a very low fee. It's going to be quite tricky to do so, I think, but we'll have to see what we can do. So that is the intention for January, just to find a goal scorer. I think for this particular season, the rest of the squad is good enough to get to where we want to be, which is that third place finish. I'm going to come back and I think we're going to play the Scottish Cup third round. I don't know who it's going to be against. It could be a real minnow. But I think rather than coming back in the early part of February and just playing another game against Livingston, which I would normally do after a January window, I think I'm going to come back and play the cup match. So come and join me for that next episode. I will catch you up on everything that we do in the transfer window. Until then, though, thank you for joining me today. It's going pretty well. I just think it's not quite enough, exciting enough and driven enough. And we need to find that goal scorer. So, yeah, we'll have to see what we can do in January. Anyway, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and join my United City community. The more the merrier. Click that like button for me. Helps me get seen by lots more people. If you want to go and check out all of my links in the description below to my Discord and my Twitter account and my Patreon and merchandise store, go and support me in all of those kind of ways that you feel you would like to. Until next time, though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.